Hi class. In this video, what I'm going to do is go through my process for a project I'm going to be making here. This is actually for a key hook for my wife, and right now I want to make sure that all the angles are correct, that all the shape of it, the size of it, and everything is correct. And then I'm also going to show you the drawing and how I actually make these files so that whenever I need to go and actually cut it, I can do so very quickly, very efficiently, and work in a way that doesn't waste a lot of my time, because that's really important to me, and doesn't waste a bunch of my resources. Like I'm going to be making this out of wood. It costs money. I don't want to spend a bunch of extra money on wood, and it takes a lot to harvest a board. So I want to make sure that I am being as efficient as possible with that. Not only because I'm cheap, but also just for the betterment of the world. So the first thing I did for this, I knew this was going to be multiple parts that interact with each other, and actually something that I really like about Onshape is you can actually create sketches based on the and use that for numerous parts, not just numerous extrusions, but for numerous parts. And if you've ever tried to do this in Inventor, like I've been using for years and years and years, it's more difficult to do. So this is actually one of the strengths of Onshape. And so I created this shape. It's this mountain, and this idea came from Etsy, and so often the price that to get something shipped to you and have somebody else make it is more. And so this was, I believe, about $35–40. I just picked up a board that's $15. I can probably make 2 or 3 of them out of it. And so to me that's a savings, and it's also something that I enjoy doing, and it's something that I actually can be proud of that I make. Okay. The next thing I did was I extruded just one section. So what this is going to end up being is all these different boards at different angles, and I tried to, as I'm designing it, I first sketched it very roughly to get very rough shapes, and then basically what I did was found angles that were pretty close to what I was looking for. I wanted to make sure that they weren't too sharp of angles, because to be honest, those are really hard to cut. I know that I can cut anything between a 45 and a 90 very easily on the miter saw and the table saw, so I tried to keep them somewhere in that range. And you can see there is a 75, which is pretty close, and so figuring out something that's kind of not super super long is what I tried to do. And then I extruded just a couple and a half inches that I wanted to go from there. And what's kind of cool is when I did the next extrusion, there's an option for new, and it actually creates a new part within the part studio. And I did that, as you can see, 3, 4, and 5 times. A little trick that I did was every time that I extruded that second, third, fourth, and fifth part, I made it up to the face, and I made it to the face of the far end of this first part that I did. I then, to be honest, I originally had made all of my extrusions 2 inches, and I realized I really wanted to be a little bit bigger, so I went into that first extrusion, changed it to 2.5, and because I thought about how I want these to all be the same, and I related them all to that first one, I'm able to just change the one, and they all update from there. Now, one thing I haven't done is really define the connections here. I'm going to glue it, and I think what I'm going to do is use what's called a brad nailer, and it's a really thin nails that I can use, and generally you don't need to mark or measure those. You can just kind of estimate. They're small enough that you can hide them with a little bit of putty if you want. A lot of times I actually skip that step because they're mostly hidden as is. So I've decided not to even put in connections for that, just to put in where those parts go together. Okay. Then the next thing I did was I made a drawing, and I put in the full assembly, so it allowed me to put in that part studio as well. I didn't really need that top view because it doesn't really tell me a whole lot. I already know it's going to be 2.5 inches and all that. I did put in a bill of materials list, and one thing I'm going to do is actually double click on that, and I'm going to see if I can't. Nope. Maybe over here. Go here, and I actually, so I said switch to BOM, bill of materials, and what I can do is actually say, okay, so item 1, part 1, and this is, bottom, bottom part. I can actually go in and say, okay, left side. The next one is, middle, left. And then the next one I could say, middle, right. And this last one I'm going to say right side. And I don't need to put in a description. Often what I'll do is I'll actually put in like, the general length of things, but I've got drawings and everything there, so I don't need to do anything for description. I can actually, if I wanted to, take this and remove that column, and then it's just really simple. Item, quantity, and then what that part name is, or part number. And then if I go back here, I made a change, so I'm going to update it. Changes my bill of materials, and this is really helpful for me, and this is something that I do. It's not just a requirement that I'm going to ask you to do for your project. It's something I do. That way I know, okay, I need to make one of the bottom part, and I need to make one of the left side, and I need to make one of the middle left. The next thing I do is I actually take all of my parts. You'll notice that I didn't do a front, top, and right side. What I'll do is instead I will dimension all of my parts right here, and you'll notice that it's fraction or decimal right here, and I'm actually going to edit that real quick. I want to make that inches fractional, and I'm going to make my tolerance to the nearest 16th, and there we go. Now what it does is it actually gives me that nearest fractional equivalent, and that's good because my tape measures, my rulers, and all of that don't have decimals. They have fractional, and so that's good. And so I've got the dimension. The cross section is actually the same, so I could actually skip all of these parts if I wanted, or I could dimension them, and then I actually continued it on to the next thing here. Okay. And so this is a project that I'm going to be working on. It has not only the assembly view, so I know which one it is. It's a very quick cue. It has dimensions, and enough dimensions that I can make all of these different parts. And then as well, it has a bill of materials on that front view, so I know exactly how many things to actually make. And that's very helpful for that. So with your projects, I am hoping that you will have all of these things to make your life that much easier when you actually come to build. Once we get back to school, if you have this paper, if you have a printout of this, I can help you very quickly and easily get the project built.